On the 19th of January, 1981, a young man stood on the ledge of a 9-story building in Los Angeles. Below him, police cars, fire trucks, ambulances, crowds of onlookers pointing up, some screaming, some crying. The man's name was Joe. He was 21 years old. He had decided that today was the day he would die. Negotiators had tried for hours to talk him down. His family had tried. The police had tried. Nothing worked. And then a black limousine pulled up to the scene. The door opened, and Muhammad Ali stepped out. It had started like any other Tuesday morning in Los Angeles. Joe had woken up in a cheap motel room, stared at the ceiling, and felt the weight of everything pressing down on him. He was broke. He was alone. He had burned every bridge, disappointed everyone who had ever believed in him. His family had given up. His friends had disappeared. The night before, he had written a letter, a goodbye letter, to no one in particular, because there was no one left who would care. At 9 a.m., he walked into an office building on Wilshire Boulevard. He took the elevator to the 9th floor. He found an empty office with a window, and he climbed out onto the ledge. The first 911 call came at 9:17 a.m. Within minutes, the street below was chaos. Police cruisers blocked traffic. A fire truck extended its ladder, but couldn't reach the 9th floor. Paramedics stood ready with stretchers, hoping they wouldn't be needed. A crowd gathered. People always gather. Some took photographs. Some prayed. Some simply stared, unable to look away from the horror unfolding above them. The LAPD's crisis negotiation team arrived. Officer Howard Mills, a veteran negotiator with 15 years of experience, was given the assignment. He approached the window carefully, speaking in calm, measured tones. "Hey there, my name is Howard. What's yours?" The young man on the ledge didn't respond. "I'm not here to hurt you. I just want to talk. Can we do that?" Silence. "Whatever's going on, we can figure it out together. Just come back inside and don't come any closer." Joe's voice cracked. His hands were shaking. His feet, just inches from the edge of the concrete ledge, shuffled nervously. "I'm not coming back inside. It's over. Everything is over." Officer Mills took a step back. This was going to be a long day. By noon, nothing had changed. Joe remained on the ledge. The crowd below had grown to hundreds. Television news crews had arrived, their cameras pointed upward, broadcasting the drama live to millions of viewers. Officer Mills had tried everything in his playbook. He had been calm. He had been authoritative. He had appealed to logic, to emotion, to family ties. None of it worked. Joe's family had been contacted. His mother had arrived, screaming up at her son, begging him to come down. It only seemed to make things worse. By 2 p.m., the situation was critical. Joe had been on the ledge for 5 hours. His legs were tired. His grip on the building was weakening. At any moment, whether intentional or accidental, he could fall. The police commanders huddled together, discussing options. There were no good options. And then someone had an idea. "There's someone staying at a hotel down the street, someone famous. Maybe he could help." The suggestion came from a young officer who had seen the black limousine parked outside the Wilshire Hotel. "Who?" asked Commander Patterson. "Muhammad Ali." The commanders looked at each other. It was unconventional. It was unprecedented. It could make things worse. But nothing else was working. "Get him on the phone." 10 minutes later, Muhammad Ali's limousine pulled up to the police barricade. The crowd parted as the most famous man in the world stepped out. He looked up at the 9th floor. He looked at the young man on the ledge. And without hesitation, he walked into the building. No one knew what he was going to do. Not the police, not the crowd, not even Ali himself. He just knew he had to try. When the phone rang in Muhammad Ali's hotel suite, he was preparing for a business meeting. 3 minutes later, he was in his limousine, racing toward a building where a stranger was about to die. He didn't ask for details. He didn't hesitate. He simply said, "Take me there, now." The call came from an LAPD officer who knew someone who knew Ali's manager. "Mr. Ali, there's a situation. A young man is threatening to jump from a building. He's been on the ledge for 5 hours. Nothing we've tried has worked." Ali listened. "We thought, maybe if you talked to him, maybe he'd listen to you." It was a desperate request, the kind of thing that most celebrities would politely decline. Too risky, too unpredictable, too far outside their comfort zone. Muhammad Ali was not most celebrities. "Where is he?" "Wilshire Boulevard, about 10 minutes from your hotel." "I'm on my way." He hung up the phone, grabbed his jacket, and was out the door before his manager could object. When Ali's limousine arrived at the scene, the atmosphere changed immediately. Word spread through the crowd like electricity. "It's Ali. Muhammad Ali is here." People who had been focused on the tragedy above suddenly turned their attention to the legend stepping out of the black car. Cameras clicked, reporters shouted questions, hands reached out to touch him, but Ali ignored all of it. His eyes were fixed on the 9th floor, on the tiny figure standing on the ledge, on the young man who was about to make an irreversible decision. "Where do I go?" Ali asked the nearest police officer. "Sir, we can't let you go up there. It's too dangerous. We don't know what he might." "Where do I go?" It wasn't a question anymore. The officer pointed toward the building entrance. Ali walked past the barricades, past the negotiators, past the commanders who tried to brief him on protocol. He didn't need a briefing. He needed to reach that young man. The elevator ride to the 9th floor felt like an eternity. Ali stood alone in the small metal box, watching the numbers climb. 4, 5, 6. What was he going to say? He didn't know. 7, 8. What if he made things worse? He pushed the thought away. The doors opened. The 9th floor was quiet, eerily quiet. Police officers lined the hallway, speaking in hushed tones. They parted as Ali walked past, their eyes wide with a mixture of awe and fear. At the end of the hall, a door was open. Beyond it, an empty office. Beyond that, an open window. And beyond that window, a young man named Joe, standing on a concrete ledge 9 stories above the ground. Ali approached the window slowly. He could see the young man now. Early 20s, thin, pale, eyes red from crying, or from not sleeping, or from both. Joe heard footsteps and turned his head slightly. "I told you to stay away. I'll jump. I swear I'll..." He stopped. His eyes went wide. Standing at the window, looking at him with the calmest expression he had ever seen, was Muhammad Ali. For a moment, Joe forgot where he was. He forgot about the ledge, forgot about the crowd below, forgot about the letter he had written. Muhammad Ali, the greatest boxer who ever lived, here, looking at him. "You," Joe's voice was barely a whisper. "I'm Muhammad Ali," the champion said softly, "and I came here to talk to you." Joe stared at Ali. Ali stared back. 9 stories below, hundreds of people held their breath. And then Muhammad Ali did something that no one expected. Something that made the police officers gasp. Something that would become one of the most remarkable moments of his life. He climbed out onto the ledge. "Mr. Ali, no, what are you doing?" The police officers rushed toward the window, but Muhammad Ali was already gone. He had swung his legs over the windowsill, lowered himself onto the narrow ledge, and was now standing 9 stories above the ground, inches from a man who wanted to die. The ledge was maybe 18 inches wide, just enough space to stand if you pressed your back against the building. Below, the crowd screamed, cameras flashed, sirens wailed. Ali didn't look down. He kept his eyes on Joe. "What are you doing?" Joe shouted. "Get back inside. You're gonna fall." "If you fall, I fall," Ali said calmly. "We're in this together now." Joe stared at him in disbelief. "You're crazy. You're actually crazy." Ali smiled, that famous smile that had charmed millions. Everybody says that, but I'm not crazy. I just care about you, brother." For a long moment, neither man spoke. The wind whipped around them. The sounds of the city drifted up from below, car horns, distant voices, the chop of a news helicopter circling overhead. Finally, Joe broke the silence. "Why are you here?" It wasn't an accusation. It was genuine confusion. Why would the most famous man in the world risk his life for a stranger? Ali answered simply, "Because I was told someone needed help. And I help people. That's what I do. You don't even know me. I don't have to know you to care about you." Joe felt something crack inside him. For months, he had felt invisible, worthless, like no one in the entire world would notice if he disappeared. And now Muhammad Ali was standing on a ledge next to him, risking his own life, for no reason other than he cared. "I've messed up everything," Joe said, his voice breaking. "My family won't talk to me. I lost my job. I lost my girlfriend. I've got nothing left, nothing." Ali nodded slowly. "I know how that feels." Joe looked at him incredulously. You're Muhammad Ali. You're the greatest. You've got everything. You think I've never lost. You think I've never felt like giving up." Ali's voice was soft now, intimate, like they were the only two people in the world. "I lost my title. They took it from me because I wouldn't go to war. I couldn't fight for 3.5 years. I was 25 years old, in my prime, and they tried to destroy me." He paused. "I lost my first fight. After all my talking, all my predictions, Joe Frazier knocked me down. The whole world saw it. The whole world laughed." Joe was listening now, really listening. "I've been broke. I've been alone. I've had people I loved turn their backs on me. I know what it's like to feel like there's nothing left." Ali reached out slowly, carefully, and put his hand on Joe's shoulder. "But I'm still here, because giving up is the only thing you can't come back from." Joe was crying now, tears streaming down his face, mixing with the sweat and grime of hours on the ledge. "I don't know how to fix anything. I don't know how to make it better. It's too broken." Muhammad Ali looked into his eyes and said 6 words that Joe would remember for the rest of his life. "I'll help you. I'm your brother." Joe's grip on the building tightened. His feet, which had been so close to the edge, shifted backward slightly. For the first time in hours, he wasn't thinking about jumping. He was thinking about those 6 words. He was thinking about the man standing next to him. He was thinking that maybe, just maybe, there was another way. But thinking wasn't enough. The ledge was narrow, the wind was strong, and one wrong step could end both of their lives. What happened next would determine whether they both made it back inside alive. Muhammad Ali had climbed out onto a ledge. Now came the hard part, getting them both back inside alive. Joe stood frozen on the ledge. The tears were still coming. His body was shaking from fear, from exhaustion, from the overwhelming weight of everything he had been carrying. But something had shifted. The voice in his head that had been screaming, "Jump, end it. There's no other way," had gone quiet. In its place was a different voice. Ali's voice. "I'll help you. I'm your brother." Joe looked at the man beside him. "You really mean that? You'll really help me?" "I don't say things I don't mean," Ali replied. "Never have, never will." Ali moved first. Slowly, carefully, he began shuffling along the ledge toward the open window. "Come on," he said gently. "One step at a time. Don't look down. Just look at me." Joe hesitated. "I'm scared." "I know you are. It's okay to be scared. Scared means you're alive. Scared means you want to stay alive." Joe took a breath. Then he took a step. The distance to the window was maybe 20 feet. It might as well have been a mile. Every step was a negotiation with gravity. Every gust of wind was a threat. Every second felt like an eternity. Ali went first, showing Joe exactly where to put his feet, exactly how to keep his balance. "That's it. Just like that. You're doing great." Joe followed. Step by step, inch by inch. The window grew closer. When they reached the window, police officers were waiting. Arms reached out, hands grabbed at them, voices shouted instructions. "We've got you, we've got you." Ali went through the window first, then immediately turned back to help Joe. Their eyes met. For one terrible second, Joe hesitated at the window. The ledge was right there. He could still jump. He could still end it all. And then Muhammad Ali reached out his hand. "Come on, brother, come home." Joe took his hand, and the police pulled him inside. What happened next was captured by a photographer who had made it to the 9th floor. The image would appear in newspapers around the world. Muhammad Ali, the most famous athlete on earth, wrapped his arms around Joe, a stranger, a nobody, a young man who minutes ago had wanted to die. And he held him tight, like a father holding a son, like a brother holding a brother. Joe collapsed into the embrace, sobbing uncontrollably. Years of pain, years of loneliness, years of feeling like he didn't matter to anyone, pouring out. And Muhammad Ali just held him. He didn't say anything. He didn't need to. Sometimes presence is enough. Sometimes being there, really there, is the most powerful thing a human being can offer another. The crisis was over. Joe was safe. But Muhammad Ali wasn't finished. What he did in the hours and days after the rescue would prove that his words on the ledge weren't empty promises. He had said, "I'll help you, I'm your brother." And he meant every word. Most celebrities would have left after the cameras stopped rolling. Most people would have considered their job done. Muhammad Ali was not most people. He stayed with Joe for the next 6 hours. And his commitment didn't end there. The police wanted to take Joe to the psychiatric ward for evaluation. Standard procedure: 72-hour hold, clinical assessment, cold hospital rooms and strangers' faces. Ali had other ideas. "Give me some time with him first. Just a few hours. He's been through enough today." The officers hesitated. Protocols existed for a reason. But this was Muhammad Ali. "All right," Commander Patterson agreed. "A few hours, but then he needs professional help. He'll get it, I promise." Ali took Joe to a quiet room in the building. They sat across from each other, the most famous man in the world and a young man nobody had ever heard of. And they talked. For hours. Joe told Ali everything: his childhood, his failures, his broken relationships, the drugs he had used, the money he had wasted, the bridges he had burned. Ali listened. He didn't judge. He didn't lecture. He didn't offer easy solutions or empty platitudes. He just listened. And when Joe was finished, when he had poured out every ounce of pain and shame, Ali spoke. "Everything you just told me, all those mistakes, all that hurt, it's your past. It's not your future. The past is a lesson, not a life sentence." Ali leaned forward. "You know why I came out on that ledge?" Joe shook his head. "Because 20 years ago, I was a 2-year-old kid in Louisville with nothing. My bike got stolen, and I wanted to beat up the guy who took it. A police officer said, 'You want to fight? Learn how first.' He paused. That cop saved my life. Not because he gave me boxing, but because he gave me a path, a direction, a reason to get up in the morning." Ali put his hand on Joe's knee. "Today, I'm that cop for you. I'm giving you a path, a direction, a reason." Over the next few hours, Muhammad Ali did something remarkable. He made phone calls. He pulled strings. He used his fame not for himself, but for a stranger who had been ready to die that morning. By evening, he had arranged a bed at a rehabilitation facility, not the cold psychiatric ward, but a real treatment center with counselors who cared. A job interview for when Joe completed treatment at a company owned by a friend of Ali's. A support network, people who would check in on Joe, hold him accountable, make sure he didn't slip through the cracks again. "This is your second chance," Ali told him. "Don't waste it. Not for me, for yourself." Before Joe left for the treatment facility, Ali gave him something. A piece of paper with a phone number on it. "This is my private line. Not many people have it. You need anything, anything at all, you call me, day or night." Joe stared at the paper. "Why?" he asked. "Why are you doing all this for me? You don't even know me." Ali smiled. "I told you on that ledge, I'm your brother, and brothers take care of each other." They embraced one more time. Then Joe walked out the door toward his second chance at life. The story could have ended there. A dramatic rescue, a life saved, headlines for a day, then forgotten. But the most powerful part of this story isn't what happened on the 19th of January 1981. It's what happened afterward. It's the phone calls Ali made to check on Joe's progress. It's the letters he sent. It's the way he followed through on every single promise he made. Because Muhammad Ali understood something that most people never learn. The real test of character isn't what you do when the cameras are watching. It's what you do when they've all gone home. Muhammad Ali won 56 professional boxing matches. He held the World Heavyweight Championship 3 times. He was called the greatest by millions around the world. But when people who knew him best were asked about his finest moment, they didn't mention the fights. They talked about a ledge in Los Angeles and a stranger named Joe. In the days following the rescue, Muhammad Ali was flooded with interview requests. Everyone wanted to know, why did you do it? What made you climb out on that ledge? His answers revealed everything about who he really was. That young man is a human being, and no human being should feel so alone that they think dying is the only way out. A reporter pressed him, "But you could have died, weren't you scared?" Ali shrugged. "I've been in the ring with Sonny Liston. I've been in the ring with George Foreman. I've faced men who wanted to knock my head off. What's a little ledge compared to that?" He paused. "Besides, what kind of man would I be if I wouldn't risk anything for another person's life? That's not a man, that's a coward." For Muhammad Ali, the rescue wasn't an isolated incident. It was part of a pattern that defined his entire life. He visited children's hospitals without cameras present. He gave money to strangers who approached him on the street. He answered letters from fans who were struggling with their own demons. "Service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth," he often said. He didn't just believe these words. He lived them. Joe completed his rehabilitation program. He got the job that Ali had arranged for him. Slowly, carefully, he rebuilt his life. Years later, in an interview, Joe talked about that day on the ledge. "I had given up on myself. I had given up on life. I thought I was worthless, that nobody would even notice if I was gone." He paused, his voice cracking. "And then Muhammad Ali, the most famous man in the world, climbed out on that ledge and told me he was my brother, that he would help me, that my life mattered. How do you give up after that? How do you throw away a gift like that?" Joe went on to help others struggling with similar demons. He spoke at schools. He volunteered at crisis centers. He became the cop in the gymnasium for other people. The chain of compassion that had started with Muhammad Ali continued through him. Late in his life, when Parkinson's disease had stolen his voice and slowed his legendary reflexes, Muhammad Ali was asked about his legacy. He could have talked about the rumble in the jungle, about beating Sonny Liston, about the Olympic gold medal. Instead, he wrote on a piece of paper, "I want to be remembered as a man who tried to help others, not as a boxer, not as a champion, as a helper, a brother, a man who saw someone suffering and refused to look away." The story of Muhammad Ali and the man on the ledge teaches us something profound about what it means to be truly great. Greatness isn't measured in titles or trophies. It's measured in moments like these. In the willingness to see another person's pain and respond with action. In the courage to take risks for someone who cannot repay you. In the simple, powerful act of saying to a stranger, "I'm your brother." Muhammad Ali once said, "Rivers, ponds, lakes, and streams, they all have different names, but they all contain water. Just as religions do, they all contain truths. Wars of nations are fought to change maps, but wars of poverty are fought to map change. I wish people would love everybody else the way they love me. It would be a better world. And perhaps most importantly, service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on Earth. On the 19th of January 1981, Muhammad Ali paid that rent in full. He climbed out on a ledge for a man he had never met. He said 6 words, "I'll help you, I'm your brother." And he meant every single one. That's not just the story of a rescue. That's the story of what it truly means to be great. The man on the ledge could be anyone. A friend, a family member, a coworker, a stranger you pass on the street. The question isn't whether you'll ever encounter someone on the brink. The question is, what will you do when you do? Will you look away? Will you leave it to the professionals? Or will you climb out on the ledge? Muhammad Ali showed us that one person can make the difference between life and death. One moment of compassion can change everything. One simple message, "I'm your brother," can save a life. The choice, when your moment comes, is yours.